Oh, hi. Sorry, you got me on my music lesson. Hey, did you ever play an instrument so loudly that someone fell down? Or did you ever shout, ah, so loudly that someone fell down? Probably not. And I really would advise against it. We have to keep each other safe. So no making people fall down with loud noises. No, let's not do that today. I'm going to come back to that idea of falling down because of loud noises in a bit. If you're watching these videos in order, you know that we have been talking about faith from Hebrews chapter 11. And the verse that describes faith says this: faith is being sure of what we hope for. It is being sure of what we do not see. Faith is believing like that what God says he will do will happen. It's pretty simple. Faith is believing that God made the earth, even if we weren't there to watch it happen. We live with the results. Faith is believing that there is orange soda in this can, even if you can't see the orange soda. So, as we continue through Hebrews chapter 11, we're almost to the end of our study of faith. Hebrews 11 verse 30 says this: Israel's army had faith, so the walls of Jericho fell down. It happened after they marched around the city for 7 days. That's what Hebrews 11 verse 30 says. That's all it says about it. So let's think a little bit about who is this story about, the story of Jericho. Well, it begins with a man by the name of Joshua. We meet Joshua in the Old Testament book of Exodus. And we know that Joshua was born in Egypt, and he was a part of the group of the Hebrews that Moses led out of Egypt. And we've talked about Moses these last couple of videos. Joshua became a faithful assistant to Moses, and when Moses died, Joshua then became the leader of the Hebrews. And we can find his story in the Old Testament book that's named after him, Joshua. And in the first couple of verses of the first chapter of Joshua, we read this part of the story. Moses, the servant of the Lord, died. After that, the Lord spoke to Joshua. Now, Joshua was Moses' helper. And the Lord said to Joshua, my servant Moses has died. Now then, I want you and all of these Hebrew people to get ready to go across the Jordan River. Across the water. I want all of you to go into the land I'm about to give the Israelites, or the Hebrew people. Joshua, no one will be able to oppose you as long as you live. I will be with you, just as I was with Moses. I will never leave you. I will never desert you. Be strong and brave. You will lead these people, and they will take the land as their very own, because it is the land I promised to give their people of long ago. Joshua, be strong and very brave. Make sure you obey the whole law my servant Moses gave you. Make sure you do everything written in it. Then things will go well with you, and you will have great success. Here is what I am commanding you to do. Now remember, this is God speaking to Joshua. Be strong and brave, and do not be afraid. Do not lose hope. I am the Lord your God, and I will be with you everywhere you go. So, Joshua leads the children of Israel, the Hebrew people, into this new land, and to get there, they have to cross a river. Do you remember that story? The River Jordan. And the water has to part, just like the Red Sea water did. And so as they step into the river, it becomes dry ground, and they cross over the Jordan River and into the land of Palestine, or the land that was to be their own. And they get to this city called Jericho. You know, remember Jericho? Yes, I think we've sung some songs about Jericho, and you've probably heard the story before. But the Lord told Joshua that the Hebrews were to march around the city of Jericho one time for every 6 days. One time every 6 days. So for 6 days, they got into order and they marched around the city one time. And while they marched, the band was playing, the trumpets, the band. And they did that for 6 days. And then on the seventh day, the Lord said they were to march around the city 7 times. And the people were to be very quiet. But the trumpets were playing. And they marched around 7 times or 6 times. And then on the 7th time, they all blew the trumpets at the same time. And all the people shouted. And the wall fell down. That's what they were told to do. And that's what happened. They blew their trumpets and they shouted. And the walls fell down. So, Hebrews 11 verse 30 says this. Israel's army, these Hebrew people, had faith to do this really strange thing. Yeah, they had faith. And so the walls of Jericho fell down. And it happened after they marched around the city for 7 days. They were people of faith. They did what God commanded them to do, even though it didn't quite make sense. Because we typically don't march around cities, blow trumpets, and shout. No, that's what they did. So I want you to remember those words that the Lord said to Joshua. Here is what I am commanding you to do. Be strong and brave. Do not be afraid. Do not lose hope. I am the Lord your God. I will be with you everywhere you go. Do you know that God is with us? And he values when we obey him. He values when we respect him. He values when we trust him. He values when we have faith. And that is when God is able to do some pretty amazing things, just like the walls of Jericho came down. I don't believe it was really because of the trumpets or because of the loud noise. I believe it was because of the faith that the people, the children of Israel, did what God asked them to do. So today, like Joshua, like the children of Israel, can we be people of faith who obey God, who trust him, who listen to what he has to say, who respect him, praise him, value him, follow his ways, and then our days will be well. I hope for you a day filled with faith, just like Joshua. I hope for you a day filled with joy. But be safe. Don't knock people down with your shouting or your loud trumpets. All right? You have a day filled with peace.